Ma'am, can I read?
Just a second. Flame and Fire. This is the name of the new chapter that we will take up in morals. Now, it is based on motivation. That means the inner desire which keeps you going in spite of every odd event which happens around you. Many a times we feel very low. Many a times we feel very sad. Yet we feel many a times we feel as if nothing can be done. But that is the time if you are motivated both internally and externally. That means in your heart, in your mind, inside you, if you are motivated. And external means if the others around you convince you, then you could always win over any problem that you come across. Sometimes in life, it is hard to get started on something. Sometimes it is hard to continue, and sometimes it is hard to finish. Every stage requires motivation. So many a times, how to begin a thing keeps you unmotivated. You feel very lazy in beginning anything. Once you have begun in between only, many a times you feel like, oh God, it is not working. And many a times you find very, very tired to finish it off even, and you leave the things in between. But for every stage, what we need is continuous motivation. We can draw our motivation either internally through our attitude and zeal to perform, or externally through outside forces. So let us see the difference between the two, the internal and the external forces. Okay, now we begin. The term motivation can be defined as motive for action. That means any action that you do should have a motivation, should have a reason, should have good enough cause to keep you going. And for that, you need motivation, and which means motive for performing any action. It is something that encourages action or feeling. Motivation is a very powerful force and can persuade or convince a person to take a particular action. That means if you are motivated, jazba hai agar aap mein, so you can definitely cope up with any kind of problem, with any kind of situation. Motivation can be positive or negative. Let us see the story below. Once upon a time, there were two brothers. One was subject to regular consumption of drugs and had ruined his life. His family was in a poor state and barely managed 2 meals a day. The other brother was a very successful businessman who was respected in society and had a happy family life. People wondered why the two brothers from the same parents, brought up in the same environment, could be so different. One day, some people asked the first brother, "Why do you consume drugs and spoil your family life?" He said, "My father was a drug addict who did the same. What do you expect me to be? This is what I am." When people asked the second brother that how come he was doing everything right despite being the son of the same father, he replied, "When I was a little boy, I saw my father doing some wrong things, like taking drugs. That made our family sad. I made up my mind that that is not what I wanted to be." In the above story, both the brothers were drawing their motivation from the same source, that is the father. One was using it positively and the other was using it negatively. Any event, action, thought, word, speech, or gesture of a person can be the source of your motivation. But always make sure that you draw positive motivation. Positive motivation lasts longer and leads to better results. Motivation may be external or internal. So basically, one father who was a drug addict had two sons. One was into drugs Seeing his father, he got motivated for taking drugs and spoiling his own life along with his family's. Whereas the other brother, he was successful in his work, he never touched drugs. Seeing his father, even he had grown up, but he took the motivation that he would not bring misery to the family by following the same path which his father had followed. So both the sons got motivation. One got a positive one, the other got a negative motivation. Now, there are various factors which play a very important role to to remain motivated. Now, the external motivation, that means outsidely motivations. These come from external or outside sources. Now, some factors of external motivation are performing well in exam for fear of getting scolded from parents, doing small little tasks to earn extra pocket money, to earn fame and applause from family, friends, etc., for social acceptance and to become a part of a group, etc. However, external motivation is short spanned. As you depend on external factors for motivation, it is like a flame of a candle which blows out over a period of time. So basically, external motivation is to an extent necessary. Seeing the outward world, you want to be like them, but then it ends with a time. What is needed is your internal motivation. Your mind should be able to be ready to cope up with any kind of situation by remaining positive in your attitude, in your actions. So we now talk of internal motivation, which says is a fire within your heart, which encourages you to do things. It is the gratification, not for success or winning, but for the fulfillment that comes from having completed the task. So basically, the internal motivation is coming from your heart. And it is not based on, okay, let this task be done and then I'll give up. No, it is continuous. It is always happening. It is the driving force. It is just not dependent on whether you win or you lose, whether you are successful or you're not. It depends upon your inner zeal, inner strength, inner energy to cope up and to do well. It is the feeling of accomplishment rather than just achieving the goal. You feel accomplished, you feel certain things that, yes, I did it. And it is just not verbal, it is deep inside you that you feel that. So some factors of internal motivation are recognition, that is, to be appreciated and treated with respect and dignity. Then responsibility to take up bigger tasks and prove one's worth. Following a story is a following story is a good example of internal motivation. Let us see. There was once a young boy who used to come for regular soccer practice but always played in the reserves and never made it to the final team. While he was practicing, his father used to sit at the far end waiting for him. The matches had started, and for 4 days he did not show up for practice or the quarters or the semi-finals. All of a sudden, he showed up for the finals, went up to the coach and said, "Coach, you have always kept me in the reserves and never let me play in the finals. But today, please let me play. I promise you I will not let you down." The coach was doubtful of his performance, but seeing his confidence, he agreed. The game started and the boy played like a star. Every time he got the ball, he shot a goal. His team had a spectacular win. When the game finished, the coach went up to him and said, "I was so wrong in not selecting you. How did you play so well?" The boy replied, "Coach, my father is watching me today." The coach turned around and looked at the place where the boy's father used to sit. There was no one there, he said. "Son, your father used to sit there when you came for practice, but I don't see anyone sitting here today." The boy replied, I never told you, but my father was blind. Just 4 days ago, he died. Today is the first day he's watching me from above. So I had to perform my best. So could you see the agony in this? Can you see the pain? Yet so motivating. The father was blind. He did not even know whether the child was getting an opportunity, whether he was in the main team or not. But he used to come with his son every day and used to sit waiting while he used to come for practice. But the days when he did not, the boy did not come up were the days when his father had died. And then the boy appeared for the finals, saying that, yes, I want to play today in the main team. And he won laurels for his team. And then he told the coach that today his father was looking at the match from above, from heavens. The boy was internally motivated to perform his best. Someone has rightly said, when your motivation is as small as the candle flame, it is easy to extinguish, but when it rages like the fire before you, nothing can blow it out. That means if it is flickering like a candle, if the flame is a flicker, it will diminish with a stroke of a wind. But if it is a anguish, if it is full of, you know, zeal, fervor, then it cannot be extinguished. In life, always look for internal motivation more than external motivation. It will help you perform better and take you closer to your goals. It leads to more dedication and engagements. When a person does something because he believes in it and it makes them feel good, they will be much more powerfully motivated to succeed. What you believe in, you should do it. You should not wait for the opportunity, but you should acquire that opportunity. And that is what this lesson is saying. One of the biggest examples in modern times is Wikipedia. The contributors to Wikipedia do not get paid a cent. They contribute when they want, how much they want, and create encyclopedia articles for fun. They are almost completely interesting, intrinsically motivated and receive no extrinsic rewards for their efforts. Intrinsic means those which are, जिसे कहते हैं मोह के बिना, they are not into any lucrative force. Nothing is driving them. They are not doing it for money, for fame, for anything. They are doing it what their heart keeps them motivated. If they know certain things, they upload it on Wikipedia. That is the only place where you get information on every topic. Why? Because people all over the world who have time, they sit, whatever knowledge they have, they impart and make it what it is today. Okay? Reflections. Motivation can be defined as the desire or inspiration to carry out specific tasks or to do something. Motivation is required when goals are being set and more so in their execution. Both internal motivation and external motivation are powerful forces. While external motivation depends on external factors like rewards, pay, obligations, punishments, etc. To propel an individual to perform, internal motivation relies on the inner strength and willpower of the individual. Both contribute in completing a task or achieving success. But internal motivation is more satisfying and reliable because it stems from within. So the external forces could be rewarding. You do this and you're paid for it. You do this, if it goes wrong, maybe you get a punishment. So to be scared, you don't do that thing again. You do your best so that you are not scolded. But that is external force. That motivation could flicker like a candle. But the internal motivation, which keeps you enlightened throughout the day, can never diminish. It doesn't need money. It doesn't need anyone's telling. It comes from within. And that is what they have talked about it here. Thank you, children. It was just a passage reading. Just a second.